Hi, this is Prof Hayes again. I'm a certified bankruptcy specialist, as I'm sure you've heard if you've listened to my other videos. This is April 5th, 2021. My alma mater, Gonzaga, is playing for the World Championship of the Universe of college basketball tonight against Baylor. I wish good luck to everybody who's rooting for Baylor. Anyway, this is part 4 of my discussions about exemptions. And what I'm going to do is talk about two things, both, fairly short, just to try to be complete. The first is retirement accounts. Retirement accounts are almost always entirely exempt. In other words, the trustee can't take the any assets that are in a retirement account, or they can't take your right to take money out of a retirement account. So if you have a job, at one of these big companies, they have a pension, you're going to get money from the pension someday, or you're getting it now, or you're going to start getting it next year. That exemption, the right to receive that money is exempt. If the magic letters are, the magic word at least, is if it's ERISA qualified, ERISA, that's a federal law. If the pension fund is ERISA qualified, whatever is in there that is in there on your behalf is exempt. All right. Also, 401k accounts are exempt. I'm going to have another comment about that in a minute, but finally, IRAs, individual retirement accounts. The bankruptcy code says those are exempt up to $1.3 million, thereabouts. All right, so it's a little weird to me that somebody who has $1 million in an IRA and has $100,000 credit card debt can file Chapter 7. The trustee can't touch the money in the IRA account, and you can wipe out your debts. But my last comment on retirements is that this is really technical. Even an IRA, you can only put in so much money each year. If you rolled it over, did you roll it over properly? Is it really an IRA account? And did you sign the forms and you get the forms, the IRS forms every year? And if you're over 70 and a half, you've been taking the money out. You got to follow all those rules. If you're not following, 401k is the same. I think you can borrow money, from a 401k. If you don't follow all the 401k rules, pension fund rules, the IRA rules, then it may not be an IRA account. It may not be qualified as an IRA account, which would mean it's not an IRA account, it's not exempt. So you have to make sure that it really is one of these three types of accounts that I talked about. For example, annuities. People will tell me, well, I have this annuity, it's my retirement, and I don't think annuities are exempt, certainly not as a general concept, and they're not exempt just because you think it's for your retirement. All right, so be careful about that. Whatever you do, don't take money out of your IRA or your Keoghs to pay unsecured creditors. If Chapter 7 will just wipe out those creditors. I mean, it seems pointless to me to use up your retirement. One last thing about IRAs is there is at least one exception to the grandiose rule I just said, which is, you know, up to 1.3 million is exempt. The Supreme Court said a few years ago that the exemption doesn't apply if the IRA was inherited. Your grandmother died, she left you her IRA. You know, that's not really money that you put away for your retirement. And the Supreme Court said that generally speaking, an inherited IRA is not exempt. I worry sometimes too when there's IRAs that are part of a distribution in a divorce. So hubby had an IRA, but he gives it to wife as part of the divorce settlement. You know, check on that. Make sure it's actually exempt. All right, the other thing on this exemptions part 4 is this concept of what state exemptions can you use. I've been a little fuzzy on that the first 3 videos, so I want to tell you the rule now. That the bankruptcy code says you cannot use the exemptions of a state that you live in when you file bankruptcy unless you've lived there at least 2 years. All right? So if you live in Arizona, you sell your house, you move to California, and now you want to file bankruptcy in California, you really have to file in California. That's where you live. Can you use the exemptions in California? The answer is no, unless you've lived in California at least 2 years. Well, then now what? You use the exemptions in Arizona. What if Arizona has a law that says you can't use Arizona exemptions unless you live in Arizona? Well, the bankruptcy code answers that. And the answer is that if the 2-year rule works out that you can't take any exemptions anywhere, then you can take the exemptions in section 522D of the bankruptcy code, which really aren't that great. There aren't a lot of exemptions in 522D. So this law came about in 2005 primarily, and it was designed to keep people from selling everything they own in California, moving to Texas, use all your money to buy a house in Texas because the house is completely exempt under Texas law. So you've changed states for the specific purpose of making all of your assets unreachable by a trustee. So that's why Congress passed that law. So as I've said before, I'm a partner at Resnick Hayes Maradi. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you like this, click like. Thanks for listening. I'm going to do number 5 pretty soon also, and that's going to discuss how to get rid of a lien on your house that is screwing up your exemption, a judgment lien on your home that is screwing up your exemption. So that'll be the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.